Now, in the last few episodes, we have opened up a couple of other shops, but today we are also going to be opening up a permanent location of Live, Laugh, Loaf. Now, I have already gone ahead and I started building a little bakery here, but it's not quite what I had imagined, so we are going to tear this down, and I am just going to basically rebuild it. Before we get to rebuilding the shop, I do have some redstone here that we are going to be incorporating into the bakery. And so we have 4 separate slices, so we are going to be providing cake, pies, cookies, and bread, 4 different baked items. And I'm going to be doing a separate video on this, so don't worry, I'm not going to cover this in detail. But it's basically an item counter down here, and then we have a filtered payment system up there. So we have decorated pots here that only accept diamonds. You know, we can't put bread into them, but we can drop a diamond in, and that'll activate this counting system. Yep, and then diamond will get picked up and deposited in this barrel here. Now, I have left all this space down here because we are going to be crafting everything fresh. So maybe this slice over here, this is cake, and I want 1 diamond to be worth like 5 cakes or something. I want this counter to be programmed for 5 items, and that little torch there, it's going to activate like a crafting station 5 times. And it should produce 5 cakes, and then I still have to figure out how we're going to get the product back up, but yeah, the cake will probably just be deposited into a dropper tower or dropper line going back up to the top. The reason I'm doing item counters is because I wanted to do a little bit of redstone here, but then I also want to maybe do like an awkward number. Maybe I want to sell 37 bread for 1 diamond. It's an awkward number, but I can do it. And these counters can go up to, I believe 576. But we'll cover more of this in its own video. But yeah, I think we're ready to go, and we just need to start rebuilding the shop now. All right, well, the shop is done and it's looking pretty good. Now we are going to go around and add some more details. I'll list some stuff out, but for the moment, I just want to sit here and just appreciate it. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I did move away from the previous design mostly because it just wasn't quite what I envisioned. You know, I had a little sketch and it just wasn't right. So we adjusted the stables there, we changed the roof up there, and then we extended the shop out by 2 blocks, and that really helped to create some more space here in the shop. It felt a little bit cramped. But all right, let's start working on a little bit of the detail. So I need to get some stuff for the stables there. And to start off with, we have a barrel here where we are going to keep some leads. So whenever anybody else uses the stables, they don't have to carry around their own leads. So we have them here. We're going to add some hay bales so people can also feed their horses. And then I have a sign here that we are going to put one of these leads in, and then grab the shears and do that. And then we have some paintings. Ooh, that's not what I want. Do I have a block? Yes. So I want one of these. Too tall? Yeah, that one. It's got a horse. And then we have some armor stands. We're going to go around and add some smaller decorated pots. Okay, and then, you know, horses also, they really like salt licks. So I thought it might be fun to use some of these mini blocks that we can make. So this is a cauldron. Then we're going to do another armor stand here. Then we got some white concrete and a hand, put that on the head, shrink it down a bit, and then we want to move it that way. Move it down, scale it up a little bit, visible, lock, done. Yeah, I think that's about it for the stables. We now need to go into the shop, some more stuff. So we can also make some mini blocks with these like food items. So we can do bread. I think I have to stand here to do this. Yep. So we can see the inside of the bread. Cookies, they don't have a mini block, so we have to kind of skip over that. But we can do pumpkin pie. And then we can do a cake. And then it might be fun to have some stuff on display at the counter. So we're going to put some cake there, maybe some bread. That's kind of the wrong way. There we go. And the counter is where we're going to be sending a lot of the food or all the food items. We're going to enter like a barrel or something that we have here. Now for the prices, I've been kind of thinking about this. I did find a little slight bug with the payment system, not the item counter. The item counter works perfectly, but the payment system, there's a little bug, so we have to do more than one cake, you know, or yeah, if I only had one cake or one item in the counter, for whatever reason, I can't actually collect the diamond. So we have to do 2 cakes instead, which is fine. That might make sense. And then since the item counter can deal with weird numbers, I kind of want to utilize that function or that functionality. So let's, I don't know, like 36. We could do 37. That feels weird. 38. 38 might be funny. Let's do 38. And we have to work on multiples of 8 for the cookies. I was thinking maybe just 40 cookies would probably be good. Or 32? With 32? Or no, that's 42. 32. And then I think 64 bread is probably pretty good. You know, if people come in, they're probably going to go for the bread more often. You know, I've been eating a lot of bread, and I eat them by the stacks, so it might make sense to just sell them by the stack. Are we happy with that? We can always come back and change this. We're doing 38 pies just to be funny, and then the others make a little bit more sense. Yeah. All right. Then we're going to color each of these signs in orange. Make them glow. And then we have to protect our signs. There we go. So we're still not quite ready to open up. We still have a lot of the redstone down below for all the crafting stuff. I will be working on that in a little bit, but I thought it might be fun. We're not quite done decorating. You know, we can do sherds with these pots, and I did find the perfect sherd for a bakery. And to get the sherds that we need to find some trail ruins. And it's a good thing I spent some time looking for. Actually, this isn't the one that I found earlier. So I might have a couple over here. Cool. And let's grab my brush. And yeah, I guess we just have to start digging in now. Well, that took a little longer than I expected, but I did get 4 of the sherds that we need. We were looking for the sheaf because it depicts wheat on it, and we are just going to make 4 new pots here. Perfect. Then we'll get rid of these, pick up the diamonds. I get all the diamonds. I got all the diamonds. And then we just got to get these diamonds back in. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Awesome. And then now the last thing we got to do to get this shop opened is come back here to this little door. You know, this is employee access. And I can reach my diamonds here. I can go down to the next level and reach the droppers down here, program the counters. But we need to get the rest of the redstone done down here so we can actually start crafting our products and stuff. So I have spent a little bit of time here just working on the crafting station for the cake, and this is what I came up with. It is basically a shulker box unloader, so I'll load up shulker boxes worth of ingredients into these chests here, and then the droppers, or the dispensers, they will place the shulker boxes, start feeding material into the droppers here, and when the droppers get activated, they'll activate in a sequential order, starting from this side. So it'll first spit out 3 buckets of milk, and then a sugar, an egg, a sugar, and then 3 wheat. Now to actually activate the droppers in order, came up with this little thing here, and you can see the pistons activate in a sequential order. So when I hit this note block, we should see all the ingredients enter the crafter in order, like this. and it spits out a cake, gets picked up by the hopper, and then you probably saw the buckets got picked up by an allay here, and then the allay should drop the buckets into a like barrel or something here. Now this station got a little bit bigger than I anticipated, so we're actually going to have to clear a bunch of space underneath the iron shop, and we'll just add our crafting stations out along this wall here. Then we should also be able to use this configuration for the pie and the cookies, and then the wheat should be pretty simple to do. So I'm going to get the rest of the redstone design put together, and then I'll meet you guys back over on Rotten Block. All right, well, I think that is basically it for the redstone. I ended up having to make some modifications to the item counter for the cake, and that's mostly because I introduced quite a bit of delay here at the crafting station itself. You see there are 9 hoppers, and hopper speed is 0.4 seconds, so that's 9 times 0.4, which is 3.6 seconds for the item here at the end to reach the crafter over there. And our item counters are just a little bit too fast for that. So the modifications basically just break the circuit and pause between each payment. So it waits for the cake to finish processing, then it sends a signal back up, completing the circuit, and then setting the item up there back into that top dropper. And then I had to move away from using the sequencer over here for the other 2 recipes. That was mostly so that the item counters can actually do what they're meant to do. And that's for each pulse to correspond or correlate with a craft here at the crafting station. And then the bread is a little bit different. I've added 4 crafters. So that means each pulse will correspond to 4 bread. And so we need to program the system up there with 16 items. That is basically it for the redstone, but I still have quite a bit more work to do to get all the farms ready so I can start collecting all the resources that I need for my products here. Well, something a little strange happened with my audio. All right, well, I have been pretty busy here just building some farms, collecting resources. And yeah, we're still underneath the bakery. I was just trying to go over the farms that I've been working on for all the ingredients that we need here. And yeah, for some reason, it my audio dropped like an octave or whatever. I tried to fix it, but yeah, it had some more problems. Ugh. But anyways, I was just mostly going over the farms that I've been working on here, and this is my cocoa bean farm. So after a full harvest, I think I collect about 37.5 stacks. I'll pick everything up off the ground, dump it into the shulker box here, and then once that's full, I put it here in this barrel. And I figured, why not show this? We click on the note block here, everything gets shifted, and then yeah. So we'll go around and collect all the cocoa beans. And then I figured instead of using cow's milk, we could use goat's milk. It's a bit of a higher quality. And for some of our other ingredients, I'm using the witch farm here to get our sugar. I've also built a pretty decent sized pumpkin farm here. You know, it's kind of like the typical pumpkin farm with the minecarts that go underneath, but this is vertical and everything just gets pushed over a hopper here. And then of course we get our wheat from the wheat farms here. And then back here we have a egg farm. Oh man. I don't know how many chickens are here. I've put quite a few. But we're gonna head back over to the shopping district, get the shop all stocked up, and yeah, open up the shop, get it ready for all the customers. Yeah. All right, so I've been spending a little bit of time here just organizing all the different ingredients for the 3 or 4 recipes that we need to craft. So before I can drop off all these shulker boxes, I first need to grab some of this material, and then we're gonna probably grab a couple of those and then one of these, because we need to go into the crafters first and set the recipe. That way, when all the material is filtering into the crafter, it goes into the right spots. And then for the pumpkin pies, the recipe is actually shapeless, so it doesn't really matter where the ingredients go, but that we at least have a slot with one of these ingredients. And then we can just go to the top, go over to these chests, and we should be able to... How much wheat do I have? Put all that in there. That in there. Did it place? Huh. Ah. Alright, so I had some materials inside the crafter. That kind of broke things, but we should be good now. There we go. Much wheat. We have 8 shulker boxes, so we'll put 4 over here. 4 over here. And then we should start seeing some materials filter into the crafter there. And then we've already put, I think, at least 108 shulker boxes worth of goat's milk into the system here, so we can ignore that for the moment. We have quite a bit of wheat here. Yeah, there's 3 shulker boxes. Let's do 1 for each. And then I've got a sugar. Yeah, sugar. A sugar. And then a couple eggs. Nice. And then over here at the bread station, all we have to do is pick up all this wheat and then drop it into this chest there. So we're just gonna sit here for a bit, let things load up, and then we should be able to open up the shop. Before we actually get the shop opened, I do want to run through a quick test just to make sure that it actually does what it's supposed to do. So I should get 1 cake, 38 pies, 32 cookies, and 64 bread. We're gonna put a diamond into each of these now. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as we're waiting on materials, yeah, I did do a little bit more decorating in here. I think I'm gonna start adding, put that away. I'm gonna start adding myself to all of my shops. That way it just feels a little bit more alive in here. I just added a little bit more color here, and I did get a book put together, kind of just describing our ingredients. You know, here at Live, Laugh, Loaf, we use only the highest quality of ingredients. Out of a farm from the Far East, we source our eggs, pumpkins, wheat, and sugar, while our cocoa and goat's milk is sourced locally. And then I just have a list of ingredients for all the different products that we have here. But anyways, we are just waiting on materials. And it looks like that worked. Awesome. And that didn't take too long. So we got a cake, got 38 pumpkin pies, we got 64 bread, and 32 cookies, which is what we purchased. And just to make sure, I got to make sure that the diamonds ended up in the barrel down here. Nice. So I would say at this point, the shop is officially open. Let's make sure to get this book put here. That way people can make sure to learn about our shop and learn where their ingredients are coming from. Well, I think it's about time this old little pop-up comes down. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.